Hello, my dear ones. I'm here with you, tarot reader Yulia Petrova. Today we have another tarot reading together. I'm doing it in a new format today. Welcome to the new format, Tarot with Yulia Petrova. Today we're going to have a rather unusual forecast and analysis. This will be an analysis of how the higher powers see the cause and effect relationship in general. After all, what is happening now between Ukraine and Russia has overtaken the Slavs. It's like some kind of dragon that completely sweeps away everything with its fiery breath. Today, I want to analyze this together with you using tarot. I want to see how the Almighty sees this situation. It's an unusual reading, an unusual question. But today, I'm sending it straight there, to the heavenly office. With the reading, I performed a small ritual so that today we could look at the answer in more detail, so that the higher powers would hear us. It's just not possible to do readings with this kind of focus otherwise. So today, let's just say we're going to dive very deeply into this topic because it's brought up quite often. I've been asked this question in the comments. Why do the higher powers allow it? All of this? Why is this war happening right now? And so on. Why is all of this happening? You need to understand that, as I've told you before, and I'll repeat today, the Almighty gives us a choice. That is, we choose which side to take. We have to choose whether to stand on the side of good or evil. In other words, we choose, specifically you and I, who we will be. Will we act honestly and kindly? Or will we do bad things and so on? It's exactly the same with war. The only thing is that right now, the dark forces really have risen up. That's no secret to anyone. I think you all know that. Well, and of course, right now, the earth as a whole is going through a rebirth. People are being reborn. You can see there's a sorting happening. And as it's shown, look, here are two cards, the Sun and the Eight of the Living, which show that today people can express themselves emotionally a lot. There's just too much freedom now, to put it simply, too much freedom. Anyone who can even imagine it, who can think about it, can criticize, and so on. And it has been clearly demonstrated that it is quite unfortunate to note that women can both give birth to these people and also possess the unique power to finally stop all of this chaos. In other words, chaos can be stopped here, right next to women. We are undergoing judgment, a real judgment. Right now, we are, so to speak, at a certain stage or step of lynching. There is a division into before and after. History will never be the same again. And here, the Three of Swords represents three worlds that now must separate. In other words, if before this world was almost unipolar, in this reading, it's clear that it's multipolar. Well, at the very least, yes, these are three sides of the foundation, and also the Two of Swords. This card represents the struggle of religions, faiths, knowledge, the struggle with human skills and abilities, the struggle with technology. Even though it might not seem to fit, and we are now in the era of artificial intelligence in this aspect, I can pause here and confirm that I absolutely, completely agree and am personally confident in this interpretation. So basically, I'm gonna stick to it here. I think, yes, there's just too much of it here now. You see, this is debauchery. There's also a huge amount of permitted debauchery. In other words, there's just too much freedom, as I said at the beginning. And it burns people out from the inside. It comes out somehow, in some negative way. Yes, it's gluttony. Maybe it's overconsumption of everything. Food, clothes, and so on. You know what I mean, right? At the same time, there's the inability to help everyone. Like, you just can't help everyone. You can't save everyone. And there's this kind of filtering going on, you know? Like, that's something else you can see. Well, this is a very interesting card, that we really need to clearly understand which side we're choosing. So we're choosing the side of negativity. We're choosing the side of, say, someone who accuses, who judges. Or are we choosing the side of deep thought, understanding, and acceptance of all kinds of positions, acceptance of all the variations of this life, the ways of living, the ways of governing countries? And the way it's like, if you live, let's say, as a family, this example immediately comes to mind, and someone comes into your family, they intrude, right? And start trying to change something. It's the same thing here. Basically, you could say that. You can use both the USA and Russia as examples. This example fits here as well. That's absolutely true. In other words, someone thinks they can decide for someone else, for thousands of people's lives, for example, and so on. So there's just this massive, huge amount of energy here that shows this. Also, of course, it's about the redistribution of money in general. In other words, money circulates and moves around in different forms, flowing from one pool to another. It doesn't just disappear, of course, it ends up somewhere and settles in certain places. This is also shown here very clearly and absolutely. But for the new generation being born now, this will be the most difficult step for them. The fact is, we won't understand these children who have now found themselves in a completely new world. This world will live by new laws in this new reality. And of course, women's rights will change here. I can see that everything's heading toward. Well, you see, emancipation itself, for example, in our left hemisphere, has already reached its peak. Here, women are as emancipated as possible. Well, now all of this seems to have come from Europe to Russia. Although I think, yes, Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and so on. Here, woman is becoming a household name. Women are, in general, changing the very structure itself. Why? Because a lot of women are entering politics. It's specifically feminine energy that is becoming the key here, both to the beginning and the end of many conflicts. All right, let's take a look now. I'll be looking at this figuratively. Now I'm going to look at the images using another deck. What images will I be shown? The higher powers for Ukraine right now. What images, what sacrifices is it going through? What or why? I'm asking the higher powers for any keys to get an answer. Why is this happening? Because it's not the authorities who started all this that are paying the price, but the people. Why is there such a sacrifice here? I probably only have one answer here. The answer is, first of all, look, it's interesting. The answer is that there have always been wars. The territory of Ukraine is a very restless land, and it has never stayed in one state, you see, in one form for long. So this Seven of Wands is about resistance. Maybe it's about constantly very warlike peoples. It's in their blood. First of all, there's a warlike spirit and a lot of pride, a very high level of pride. The Empress card, again, represents a very rich cultural heritage. People are very dependent on the energy of the land. Why, by the way, are there so many witches in Ukraine? That's actually where I'm from, Ukraine. Because there, people are in close contact with all the elements. That's very important. And there's a huge amount of agriculture and farming. This means that even now, the trend toward farming that's happening in Belarus, do you know what that's leading to? It's leading to the fact that there will also be a lot of witches born, because the energy of the land, the harvests, planting, all the fertility and so on, all of that will flourish in a huge, vibrant way. Plus, there are powerful energies of death and constant struggle. There's a very interesting answer here, by the way. I honestly didn't expect to see it here. I didn't have any expectations at all, to be honest, really. So right now, I'm just asking questions based on intuition. But here, the Tuskipka says that this is an overabundance of resources. And everyone wants these resources. And everyone knows about these resources. So the Lover's card is, again, a triple alliance as a rule. That is, the whole world is once again divided into 3 parts. This is a different deck we're using now. Into 3 parts, and the whole world wants this territory. It's so needed and necessary here. The fertility of the land, the Empress. Yes, it's like showing a pregnant woman. It shows a woman who contains 4 energies: water, air, earth, and fire, right? But actually, it's not a woman. It's a metaphor, of course. We're using a woman as a metaphor. This is actually about the energy of this country. And here, the man is weak. As soon as men come to power here, they weaken things. Little by little, they weaken and fight windmills, not realizing that it's just some kind of mindless aggressiveness, this kind of mindless urge to fight shows that even if you're wrong, you're still right. That's the kind of thing going on here. So there's this thing here where you have to prove that even if someone doesn't like something or it doesn't suit them, you're still right. This is pure masculine energy at work here, and I've already told you about the feminine energy. It's about fertility, the ability to give birth to very strong children, the potential, according to the High Priestess. This land gives birth to a huge number of witches and wise women, healers, and so on. By the way, why does this happen specifically in Ukraine? Why? What makes this land chosen for that? Well, apparently there was just too much magic here, and ritual magic throughout all these centuries. It's not like something new just happened now. It's just continuing now. There's such a strong desire to control this particular territory. You have to understand here, there's a huge center of energy here. It's just flowing. A center of energy, control, manipulation of the whole world, and a huge amount of income. So this is a country that can bring a lot, and there are a huge number of resources here, many of which haven't even been discovered yet, I guarantee you. Here, the Almighty shows us that we have the World card. Yes, it's a card of constant completion. So there are payoffs happening. At first, let's say, we lose one thing, then another, slowly, then some territory is lost. It gets separated. But believe me, even in the hands of other rulers, this territory can bring misfortune because it's so rich, vibrant, and full of energy that what's needed here is a very, 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 very strong leader. There is no leader here right now. It's shown as abandoned land and abandoned people. People are like the wind. Yes, there are a lot of air cards. Yes, like the wind, they wander around the world. But they will take root everywhere. And of course, there will be huge losses among the people, but in some unexpected places, Ukrainians will revive their national traits, legality, their own national traditions, and so on. The only thing that will get in a person's way is, of course, their own behavior. A Ukrainian can be both strong and powerful, but also weak and not always reasonable. Unfortunately, we've already discussed masculine energy with you. Let's take a look. How will the Almighty show Russia, right? Under what slogan? How is it moving forward? Under what energies is Russia moving at all? Well, let's see. So Russia, what's here? Russia's in eternal wars. It was, is, and will be. Why? Because there's always at least some, it's like some kind of. Just a minor little cut, a tiny insignificant scratch that Russia hardly even considers to be a serious threat. It thinks it'll heal on its own. But this scratch, as a rule, turns into a huge gaping wound that bleeds over time because a trench has already been dug along that little scratch. Here, too, there's a military future, constant disputes. And, of course, the rebellious spirit of the conqueror here takes on an esoteric quality. Russia is seen as a country that has, well, you know, it's like you want to say woe from wit, a lot of intellect, but this intellect ends up fighting against its own country. What does that mean? That the people who have left here, gone abroad into emigration, people whom the country couldn't keep, they'll end up creating technologies against this very country, undermining it, without even realizing it directly. And the Four of Pentacles, of course, means financial restrictions, constantly living in a mode of saving, accumulating, and constant anxiety. This is feminine energy. Here, a woman doesn't value herself. A woman is always saving up and economizing on herself. Feminine energy, and the country is economizing on itself, giving out generosity to everyone else. There's a lot of fire, a lot of passion, a lot of freedom, a lot of desire. The cup is overflowing right now. This is the first card that comes up at all. So Russia is overflowing right now, like a cup that's starting to spill over the edges. And people inside are very dissatisfied. You can see that here too, right? All right, the feminine energy, that's clear, right? Patience, that whole thing, gritting your teeth, like enduring, waiting it out. What kind of man is here? What kind of masculine energy? It's the Hanged Man. It's weighing. That's what's playing out, right? It's waiting, it's holding out, and then being disappointed. Waiting so long that disappointment follows. On top of that, it's loss, the Fool card. Men bring everything that was built over many years back to zero. Masculine energy. Masculine energy, the Death card, transformation, the Magician. A lot of it. Among men, there are many with strong magical energy. Here, when it comes to energy, it's about being able to gain a lot, earn a lot, but not put anything back into the treasury, extracting a lot of energy, producing a lot, and then spending it on something dark, on dark deeds. The desire for power is one of the strongest in the world. This is Russia here, but according to the Death card, it always transforms the soul. Transformation of the soul. Death isn't really about death, of course. It's about the transformation of the soul. The Nine of Cups is almost a 10, but not quite a 10. It's the Nine of Cups. It's when you're offered a lot and you always feel like you're about to win big. It's like a casino that Russia's playing in. And it says, this time I'm gonna hit it big here. A big payout. Now I'll throw it on the roulette and this time it'll work out for me. And it's like this roulette, not for nothing is it called Russian. That's where the whole game is happening. So you can see that there's nothing there. And now, for example, it's about to be revealed that nothing is actually being put into the treasury here. It will be exposed. And maybe it already has been exposed. I think so. But you'll know better. Write your thoughts in the comments. And of course, the Almighty sees the men here who destroy things quickly, but build and restore them extremely slowly. They don't want to renew themselves. This is a very slow-moving energy. It's an energy of long-term control. I'm not just talking about Putin right now. No one in power wants to leave at all. Everyone will stay in their seats until they're old. They'll stay as long as it's even remotely possible to stay. In other words, there's no rotation, no wheel of fortune. Mentors, everyone, it's the same story. Whoever gets appointed is always family or close friends. And that's what the Almighty is showing here. And the Ace of Swords. Yes, that there are wars. The Ace of Wands, it's never ending. This is also a rebellious spirit, but still, Slavs and Slavs have a lot in common. The only thing is that in Russia, men have learned how to make money, but they still don't know how to build. For now, all the energy is going into destruction. That's how it is. This is masculine energy, not in general, in a particular person. I want to emphasize that right now. Why are brotherly peoples fighting each other? Slavs and Slavs, Ukraine and Russia. Why are they fighting? Let's put it this way even. Do higher powers see the Slavs of these two countries as one single nation? As one whole, as one united people? Here, it's not just that they don't see them as one whole, there's actually no division at all. The higher powers make no distinction here between one or the other. There was a great migration, a very large migration. And I think we're living through the second round of erasing history, or yet another round of erasing history. After all, what was there before Ukraine and before Kiev and Rus? Practically no one knows anymore what was there. And apparently what was there was... These peoples didn't always exist. They were small, close-knit, and fought among themselves a lot. This is also the price for those previous wars, the conflicts, and all the blood that was shed. So, in particular, probably here, I mean, I'm not talking about this century, right? I'm looking at the esoteric picture as a whole, yeah. It's like an energetic cluster, if you will. And here the Empress card comes up. Again, feminine energy. Women need to be allowed into power. Until women are allowed into power here, unfortunately, nothing good will happen here. Why are they still fighting? Why is Slavic culture now being destroyed, replaced, and so on? Everyone minds their own business. Everyone keeps to themselves. Everyone is very greedy. There's never enough to go around. The income isn't enough to make ends meet. It's not enough. You have to take a piece for yourself, and the bigger, the better. And it doesn't matter what it costs. No one here cares about the price. The only thing that matters here is the amount you can get and the mass influence you have. And the Four of Pentacles is a card that speaks of great greed, stinginess, and an unwillingness to share with anyone. And envy, so much envy. All of this is like a utopia here. And these things, according to the Eight of Swords, tie the hands of both peoples. No one wants to stop. No one wants to stop because of their pride. And the Almighty will punish both sides. That's why it's not just one people suffering, say the Ukrainian people or the Russian people. Both will suffer, and suffer greatly at that. The Five of Swords and the Sun card. Most likely, it will all end with a nuclear strike or some very serious heat attack. So here, it's simply inevitable. And we actually looked at this in our recent readings. So that was my deep reading, my friends. Plus, you know, the Star card came up here. That's the kind of card that shows how, like vultures, everyone is gathered and is just waiting for all the Slavs to fight among themselves so they can take over these territories, quietly settle them without a fight. All without losing anything, especially in terms of human resources. They need people for other purposes. This is Yulia Petrova like you. I hope you're subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell and leave your comments. See you soon.